And this is Miss Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 3 Learning Target 4 notes. So we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting polynomials. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the things you need to know for adding and subtracting polynomials. So here's the biggest thing. You add polynomials by combining like terms. Now remember, if you think back to notes 1, like terms have to have the same exponent on each letter. And you want to make sure your exponents go from largest to smallest. You want them to go in descending order and have your answer in standard form when you are all the way done. So let's go ahead and let's just practice combining like terms. So taking a look at the first one. So let's take a look now, and what we're going to do is we are going to add, that didn't go very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine our like terms. So I see that 4x cubed and 3x cubed are my largest exponents. So I'm going to add 4 and 3 together. What I'm not going to do is add the exponents. Remember, when you're adding like terms, you're going to keep the exponents the same. And then we're going to do 8x squared minus 5x squared. So I'm going to subtract the coefficients. 8 minus 5 is 3. And then we have x squared. And then negative 3x plus 5x, we're going to add negative 3 plus 5, which is going to give me 2. And then I'm just going to keep that as x. Again, not adding those exponents. 8 minus 12 is going to give me a negative 4. So that right there is your final answer for number 1. Now, taking a look at number 2 and combining like terms, I see that 5x to the 5th is my largest term, so I'm going to write that first. And then I need to combine my cube terms. So I have 3x cubed minus 2x cubed. So I'm going to take 3 minus 2, which is just 1, and then I'm going to have x cubed with it. Again, you're not adding the exponents when you do that. So now I have negative 2x minus 4x is negative 6x. Again, adding the coefficients, not adding the exponents. Finally, for numbers, we have 4 plus 5 at the end, and 4 plus 5 is going to give you 9. So my exponents are going in descending order, and all my like terms are combined. So this is in standard form. So let's take a look. So here's the method we're going to use to add polynomials vertically. You're going to line the terms up vertically, putting the like terms in columns. So if you have to skip over a column because it's not a like term, that's okay. We'll take a look at what that means here in a second. So let's go ahead and let's practice. So when we're adding, what we're going to do is I have 3x squared minus 4x plus 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. So I'm going to take negative 7x squared and I'm going to put that in the x squared column. And then I'm going to take 2x and put it in the x column. And then I'm going to take the minus 5 and put that in the constant column. So now what I want to do is add down the columns here. So I'm going to take negative 3x squared minus 7x squared. Well, 3 minus 7 is going to be a negative 4. And again, that's going to stay as x squared. You do not add the exponents. The negative 4x plus 2, when you subtract those out, you're going to get 2. And then again, you're going to keep it as x. You're not adding the exponents. 8 minus 5 is going to be 3. So that right there is your final answer for number 3. Let's do the same thing with number 4. We're going to add it. We're going to create our column. So I have 5x squared minus 3x plus 4. So I'm going to put negative 3x squared under the x squared column. 6x is going to go under the x column, and negative 3 is going to go under the constant column. So 5x squared minus 3x squared is going to give me 2x squared. 6x minus 3x is going to give me 3x, and 4 minus 3 is going to give me 1. So once you've added down the columns, that's your final answer. You always want to be checking that your answer is in standard form. Are your exponents going in descending order? And do you have all of your like terms combined? Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at when we subtract polynomials. When you are subtracting polynomials, you need to go through and change the signs of anything after the minus sign. So anything in the parenthesis following the minus sign, you have to change the signs of everything in that parenthesis. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and set up your columns. So that could be kind of confusing. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this as being a -1 on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of distribute that -1 in, and I'm going to change the signs of everything. I'm changing the signs. I'm not just making sure they're all negative. I'm actually changing all of the signs. So for the first one, that's going to stay the same. So I have 4g cubed minus 5g. So then 2g cubed, that's going to be subtracted now. That's going to be negative, and I'm going to put it in my g cubed column. Then minus 4g, that's going to go in my g columns. So since I've gone through the work of actually changing the signs of everything, I can go ahead and add down the columns. 4g cubed minus 2g cubed is going to give me 2g cubed. Negative 5g minus 4g. When you add two negative numbers, they get more negative. So that's going to give us 9g. So since our exponents are going in descending order, that's our final answer for number 5. So I have 13n cubed plus 3n squared plus 5n. So what I did is I took this equation right here and I wrote it in standard form to get me ready to set up my columns. Now I notice that I'm subtracting the second part. So what I'm going to do is go through and change the signs of everything. So I'm going to do minus 4n cubed here and minus 7n here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add straight down the columns. So 13n cubed minus 4n cubed, that's going to give me 9n cubed. Bring down the 3n squared. And then 5n minus 7n is negative 2n. So then this right here is your final answer. Your exponents are going in descending order. Okay, so now let's take a look at number 7. So for number 7, what I'm going to do first is write that first one out. So I have 5y squared minus 3y plus 8. So I'm going to take that -1 and I'm going to distribute it to each of the things that follows. So that 4y squared is going to become negative and the 9 is actually going to become positive. So then we're going to do a negative 4y squared. That's going to be in the y squared column. And then this is going to become a plus 9 since I have to change the sign, and that's going to go in my constant column. So now I can add down the columns. 5y squared minus 4y squared. 5 minus 4 is just 1. And then remember, we're going to keep that y squared. This negative 3y doesn't have anything to be added to, so it's just going to come down to the bottom. And then 8 plus 9 is going to give me 17. So that right there is my final answer for number 7. So let's take a look at number 8. I'm just going to write all these out from the first one in an order that makes me comfortable. There really is no standard form when you have a whole bunch of different letters. So I see that that second one's being subtracted. So what I need to do is go through and change the signs of everything. That negative 2y is going to become a positive 2y, and then the 6xy is going to become negative as well as the 4x squared. So now I'm going to subtract off 4x squared. Then I'm going to subtract 6xy. I want to put that in my xy column. And then I'm going to add 2y at the end since I went through and changed that sign. So now I'm going to add my coefficients and keep my exponents the same as I go down the columns. So 3 minus 4 is a negative 1, and that's going to be x squared. Again, you're not adding the exponents. Negative 6 plus a negative 8, that's going to get more negative. So you're going to get a negative 14 xy, and then negative 5y plus 2y is a negative 3y. So that right there is your final answer for number 8. Last but not least, let's take a look at this word problem. Oops. So then, hello email. So then when we take a look at this word problem, we want to figure this out. So it says the total number of public school teachers T consists of two groups, elementary E and secondary S. So here's our total, and this is going to represent our secondary ed teachers. The problem is asking us for how many elementary school teachers. So to get the elementary school teachers, the secondary teachers plus the elementary school teachers is going to get the total. So to figure out how many elementary ed teachers there are, we're going to subtract the number of secondary teachers. So really it's just going to be T minus S. So we're going to take this equation and subtract that equation. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to have 58N plus 2,401. And then we're going to subtract 229n plus 949. So I'm just going to start by writing out my 58n plus 2,401. Then I'm going to take this negative sign and I'm going to change everything in the parenthesis that follows. So in my n column, it's going to be negative 29n and then 949 down that column. So now I can go ahead and add down my columns. 58 minus 29 is going to give me 29n. 2,401 minus 949 is going to give me 1,452. So this equation right here represents the total number of elementary students. So that concludes your note video for today. Thank you for listening.